Guys, what's going on? It's your boy Majora boy and welcome back to another video. So a few days ago, Apple held a September event in which they revealed to us brand new Apple Watches and brand new iPads. Now in today's video, I'm going to be focusing on one specific product, the iPad Air 4. So without any further wait, let's roll the intro and let me tell you guys everything you need to know about the iPad Air 4. Let's start off with the design of the Air 4. Now the iPad Air till last year did sport that classic iPad design, which consisted of it having really thick top and bottom bezels along with the iconic home button. This year however, the iPad Air lineup does get a major redesign in the form of the Air 4, which more than having those thick top and bottom bezels has an almost edge-to-edge display along with a squared off aluminum chassis, which makes the Air 4 look exactly like an iPad Pro. Coming to the display of the iPad Air 4, it has a 60Hz 10.9-inch display which has a resolution of 2360 into 1640 with a PPI of 264 and a peak brightness of 500 along with wide P3 colors. Now the Air 4 does have the exact same dimensions as the 11-inch iPad Pro, which means that this iPad is compatible with Apple's first-party accessories made for the 11-inch iPad Pro, like the Magic Keyboard, Smart Folio keyboard and the Smart Folio cover. It also has the magnetic strip on top, which makes this iPad compatible with the Apple Pencil 2 as well. If you are on a tighter budget, this iPad Air 4 is also compatible with Logitech's Folio Touch keyboard, which is a cheaper alternative to Apple's Magic Keyboard. Now if you are wondering why this iPad has a slightly smaller screen while retaining the same dimensions as the iPad Pro, it's because the iPad Air 4 has slightly thicker bezels, due to which the screen size of the Air 4 diagonally is 10.9 inches. Coming to the internal specs, the iPad Air 4 is powered by the A14 Bionic chip, which is Apple's first chipset made on a 5nm process. It's also the first time that Apple is introducing a brand new A-series chipset with an iPad rather than an iPhone. The A14 Bionic is a 6-core CPU which has 2 performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores along with its inbuilt 4-core GPU. The iPad Air 4 is also the first mid-range iPad to ditch the Lightning port and adopt a USB Type-C port, which allows this iPad to be more productive as you can easily connect your Type-C peripherals to it. Now let's talk about the cameras on this iPad, starting off with the rear-facing camera, which is a 12 megapixel shooter with an f1.8 aperture. Now this is the exact same camera as the 2018 iPad Pro, and if you're into iPad photography, then this iPad won't disappoint as it takes some really good photos. The camera can also record video all the way up to 4K 60fps and slow motion video in 720p 240fps. Coming to the front facing camera, we have a 7 megapixel front shooter which has an f2.2 aperture, and it can shoot video in 1080p, which is going to be really helpful for those video calls. And due to this pandemic, having a good quality front facing camera for video calls is a must. So the iPad Air 4 has you covered there. Coming to the rest of the hardware, this year's iPad Air has a quad speaker setup, which is really going to elevate your media consumption experience when paired with that gorgeous display. Now the speakers are the exact same from the iPad Pro, so from experience I can tell you that these speakers sound really good. When it comes to this iPad's battery, it is rocking a 28.6 watt-hour battery, which will give you an advertised battery life of 10 hours. Now the most interesting piece of hardware this year's iPad Air has is its biometric system. So the new iPad Air 4 doesn't have Face ID on it, as it is something that is only reserved for the Pro iPad models at the moment, due to which Touch ID has made a return. Now many people at hearing this for the first time would think that the iPad Air 4 has an in-display fingerprint sensor, as this iPad doesn't have a home button. Well, actually the Air 4 doesn't have an in-display fingerprint scanner, rather the fingerprint scanner is built right into the power button. Now the implementation of the system opens up a lot of possibilities for future Apple products, especially the iPhone lineup, which may see a return to Touch ID along with Face ID. Now this combination makes a lot of sense with the ongoing pandemic because face masks have basically made Face ID obsolete. So it would be good to see Apple give their users 2 methods of biometric authentication so that they can use either one of them depending on the situation. Coming to pricing, the iPad Air model starts in at 64GB of storage for $599, which in Indian currency is 54,900 rupees. And 256 gigabytes of storage was $749, which in rupees comes in at 68,900. Now these two prices are for the Wi-Fi only models. When it comes to Wi-Fi and cellular, the 64GB model costs $729, which in rupees is 66,900, and the 256GB model costs $879, which in rupees is 80,900. The iPad Air 4 also comes in 5 colors: space grey, silver, rose gold, green and sky blue. My personal favorite being sky blue. Now let me tell you my personal opinion on the iPad Air 4. In my opinion, you're getting a lot of value for what you're paying, like a good display, great performance, an amazing battery life and so on. I will personally recommend this iPad Air to a lot of people out there who are looking for a computer that can do day-to-day tasks with ease, like typing articles, emails, media consumption, docs, spreadsheets, solving assignments and etc. This iPad is such a good deal that I would actually recommend it over a laptop for a lot of people out there looking for a computer in this price segment, as the iPad Air 4 can really handle all of these tasks really well. When it comes down to this iPad and the iPad Pro, I will still suggest the iPad Pro over the iPad Air 4 if you are planning on using an iPad for doing heavy tasks, as the iPad Pro still is better in multi-core tasks and has a better GPU than the iPad Air 4, which will give you a major advantage in GPU intensive tasks. On top of that, the iPad Pro also has that buttery smooth 120Hz display, which is a great feature for artists, illustrators and animators out there, as it cuts down the latency between the Apple Pencil and the iPad Pro. But if you're not planning on doing any heavy CPU or GPU tasks on your iPad Air 4, then the iPad Air 4 is the perfect choice for you. Well guys, that's all for today. Tell me down in the comments below what do you guys think about the iPad Air 4 and whether you'll be picking one up. If you guys liked this video, then please do a big fat thumbs up on it. But if you loved it, then please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one. And as always, this is your boy Majora Boy signing off for today, and I'll see you in the next one.